Welcome to More Action, the podcast for entrepreneurs, business owners, and professionals. I'm your host, Sheley Brien, and together we have candid conversations with industry leaders to uncover valuable wisdom and lessons learned. My hope is you use these lessons to intentionally take more action in business and life. I hope you share and enjoy. Great to have you back here. Today's topic is one that I may have shared about before. However, I am going to give you a completely different perspective and truly from more of a leadership perspective from managing or guiding your team through challenges. Now, as you know, this topic that we're going to talk about is very near and dear to my heart. And it's something that I can tell you without a doubt is one of the most productive mindset changes that I have made that has had the most profound effect on my life, specifically in business and being a leader in business. Now, it all stemmed from something that I didn't realize that Chris was doing in the field with our teams. And if you're new here on the show, I am so excited to have you here on More Action. We are talking about just that, but we are talking about mindset, business, leadership, relationships, like all of the things. And I work with my husband. We own a construction company. And in that, you can imagine we're working together as husband and wife. We are coming up on 24 years married. So we definitely have a diverse background over those 24 years, even longer since, we were together before we got married. But we on the team, we manage very different aspects. So I'm more in office behind the scenes. He is absolutely in the field with the teams and building up our teams. We do have a lot of cross leadership activities, let's say, but it's just been a really neat thing to hear this coming from Chris because I know that we are so aligned in the things that we are doing. And so I wanted to take today's episode to really share this with you and how you can use it not only for yourself. I've shared about this before in leading yourself, but how you can also lead your teams. And it comes from the fact that one of our teammates in the field bought Chris this sign and it was hilarious. He comes home with this sign and I'm like, what the heck is that? And it literally says, "It is what it is." And I just chuckled and I was like, help me understand why you're getting this sign. And he's like, well, it's something I say in the field all the time. And I was like, okay, give me a little bit more. And it's funny because one of our core values, and I'm going to come back to this, is how can we? It's a solutions focus. That's what we're always looking at. And so he is saying it is what it is in the field. And this is on very large scale commercial construction sites, and construction is one of those things that you can, break into the ground, you can break through a wall and you find all kinds of stuff that wasn't on the plans, wasn't accounted for, and you have to move through it. But construction is one of those great things, like many businesses out there, that there's always solutions, and truly the solutions are what separates you. So Chris is asking his team, or sharing with his team, it is what it is. It gets them to refocus. It gets them out of this negative death spiral and focus back on solutions. So before I dive into that more, if you haven't tuned in, I have shared this. I shared this with an incredible group of business founders in January. This is something I've talked about again and again, is asking myself, what can I control? Is because, listen, at the end of the day, life, business, parenting, leadership, you're going to encounter some rough patches. It is going to happen. And the good news is when you are doing that, it's almost like reassuring that you're on the right path. May not seem like it when it happens. I totally get it. But if you are reaching challenges, it means you're breaking through to a new level. And when I find myself in this position where I almost become inactive. And I could be like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? I can't believe this person, all these different things are happening. I always bring it back to me. I regain control. I regain power. And I ask myself, what can I control? Because truly, at the end of the day, that is the only thing that you can control is yourself. And again, if you've tuned in before, you know I've said that. And today's I wanted to flip that is because by Chris saying it is what it is, it brings it back. It takes that power back of, if you have a team member, a family member that's in this, I call it this negative death spiral. I remember when I was coaching teams and training teams in in the pharmaceutical industry, you would have like a client that was really challenging or something, and you would get into this negative death spiral, or you get these numbers that you were like, how are these numbers possible? I've been working my tail off. I've been doing all these things. And you can fall into that negative death spiral. And by Chris just simply saying to the team, and keep in mind, this is a construction site, very male dominated. That being said, I'm in there too. And by just saying it is what it is, it takes the power back, takes the power back to you. And instead of becoming actionless because of whatever happened and turning to a more victim mentality, you can then regain it and focus everyone back. So, like I shared a little bit earlier, is that one of our core values as an organization is how can we? Solutions first. And so whenever we have something, like for example, a set of plans doesn't signify something that we found when we broke open a wall, or all of a sudden there is a supporting beam where there wasn't supposed to be one. And the team can all of a sudden be like, well, I mean, these plans and, this building, or, oh my God, who did the plumbing before? Or like all these things. Chris is literally going, it is what it is. How are we going to move forward? How can we move forward? So instead of sitting there and focusing on what happened into that negative death spiral, he's redirecting everybody to stop focusing on that because you can't control it. You can't change it. How can we move forward? And so I just love this because I have always thought about it because I've really been working on myself is what can I control? What can I control? I bring it back to me. From a leadership perspective, I think that you can look at this two different ways. Is when you are coaching and leading others and you had hit a challenge or a speed bump or a roadblock or something is going on that is out of your control, is to simply say, it is what it is. What can you control? What can you control? Or how can we move forward with this new knowledge? Again, what is going on? What created the challenge is there. How are we going to move forward? What can you control in this situation? And so the point is not to let the challenge or the thoughts prevent you from taking more action. Notice that I said more action, not perfect action, not the right action. Moving forward is the point here. And it's all about taking additional action, learn the next lesson, and then apply the same methodology again and again, whether it is to yourself or whether it is to your team members, right? Either way, you're leading yourself, or you're leading your team, you're leading your family. And by stopping the focus on what is into how can we move forward, or what can I control, or what can you control in this situation, you will go from being victim mentality in this negative death spiral, which really makes you become actionless, into that focused solution, the focused action, whatever you can do next. Might not solve the problem, but how are we going to move forward? And so I wanted to bring this topic up because, I talk a lot about the mindset and I talk a lot about focus on you, but I know that many of you listening in right now are also leaders. And so this is another way that you can use the same coaching that you are on yourself to be able to coach and lead others when you hit those challenges. And here is one last tip that I want to leave you with. And I got this from another business leader here in town. She runs a team of about 30 marketing agents across the country. It's actually pretty impressive what she is doing. But as you can imagine, 30, she's got a team of 30. You can imagine the problems, the challenges, the deadlines, all the things that are coming up. And so what she has now as a rule in her organization that we are adopting to ours as well is for every problem, bring 2 solutions. It again takes the focus away from the problem. You can't change it. It's in the past. And focus on creating solutions on how you can take more action to move forward. And sometimes that action might be apologizing. Sometimes that action is taking responsibility, even when it's not yours to take. But the focus is to be the leader and continue to lead those around you, including yourself. So I hope that this just helps provide that kind of different perspective, whether you are coaching yourself or coaching your team on how to navigate those challenges. And remember, it is what it is. I love saying it. It's almost like it is what it is. Now what? How can we move forward? All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. Again, if you found value in this More Action podcast is truly like all of the reviews that come in, all of the shares, all of the everything comes from you guys sharing it, telling your friends, tagging me, and it means the world. So thank you. Please keep doing it. And don't forget to tune in here twice a week.